Welcome to the Secrets Women Keep podcast. I am your secret keeper and confidant, Lauren White. I'm a qualified counsellor and sexologist, facilitator of all things turn-on, author of Permission, and a witty, highly intuitive lounge room dancing introvert. I help you as an exceptional woman in entrepreneurship to see, love, and trust all the parts of yourself, especially the unseen. Let's pull back the curtain, light the candelabra, and lift the veil. These are the secrets women keep. This episode is brought to you by my deep, powerful, and private 6-month one-to-one process where you unveil from everything that's holding you back from being and feeling more. Through my unwavering support and personalized guidance, you will finally become the fully expressed, sovereign, and integrated woman you know you can be. Hello, and welcome to the Secrets Women Keep podcast. I am your host and confidant, Lauren White, and today we have a very transformed guest. Her name is Shea Vincent. Now, normally I do an introduction for my guests, but Shea is someone special. We've worked together for almost 6 months in a deep one-to-one process, and I feel like it would be really empowering if you, Shea, introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Lauren. So I think there's a few things that describe me or explain who I am. So I'm a women's health physio by trade.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a solo parent to a beautiful 4-year-old Felix. And as I've learned, I'm a social introvert and proud of it. Does that wrap me up?
Yeah, well, I think there's so much more, but the conversation will reveal that. Yeah. So look, there's so much more to you than that, Shea. But yes, that is like a good little elevator pitch for you. A social introvert. Yes, join the club. In fact, I feel like I'm almost like creating a club of my one-to-one clients that are all social introverts.
Yeah.
Like attract like.
And that has been one of the most empowering things to learn about myself over the last 6 months. So I'm very grateful to you for that.
It's a game changer, isn't it? When you can navigate your energy and how you socialize and how you move through the world and your interactions with people in a more precise way.
Absolutely. Yes. And it explains so much, and it just, gives you permission to be yourself and not, compare yourself to others and believe you've got to be a certain way.
Yes. And on that note, that was part of, I had the joy of going back to the very beginning and rereading our first call together and what we talked about. And that's exactly what you wanted. It was a big motivator for what you wanted out of us working together, was to really refine who you are and what you stand for and give yourself permission for all of the decisions in your life. Can you cast your mind back to that call and remember how you were feeling and what it was that was nudging you to step forward and say yes to yourself?
Yeah, I remember it really distinctly, actually. And I think at the time I was in a stage of my life and in a position where I thought, if I'm ever going to rebrand Shea Vincent, now's the time. So going into a new workspace, not being in a relationship, being in lockdown, I kind of envisioned that I would give myself the opportunity to go, right, who do you actually want to be? What energy do you want to have? And then almost like a butterfly blossom out of lockdown into my new job, future relationships as that person that I wanted to be. So that was one reason I think that really kind of tipped me over the edge in doing this and going through this process. And I remember when you asked me about what I was hoping to see change over the course of my life or improve by working together, I remember saying to you, I don't want anything to change. And I was really, and now I laugh because I go, you knew so little. But I said, I'm really content with my life. We have a beautiful home. I've got a beautiful family. And now I know that being content is not necessarily a positive thing, and that I just wanted to experience my life in a far different way to what I had been. And that definitely has occurred, but I think I've got so much more out of it, not just, how I go through life and how I experience life as it is.
And I remember that moment because I wrote the words down verbatim. You said, because I said, how would this change your life? And you just said, like, straight off the bat, you were like, I don't want my life to change, but I do want to change how I experience my life. And I was just like, wow, that is so powerful. And I think so many women need to know that you don't necessarily have to change a lot with how your life looks. It's about how your life feels and how you experience and interact with and respond to what happens in your life. Do you have any more to say about that and what you've learned about yourself through that aspect of the work?
Yeah, I think what I meant by that comment was that I have all the pieces of the puzzle to what my life, what I want it to look like. And it just energetically, I think I wasn't feeling the way that I wanted to feel. And the pieces were very segregated, and there wasn't a lot of overlap and flow. And flow is now my new favorite word. And I think now that the pieces of my life, they're still as they were 6 months ago. A bit has changed, but it's definitely, how I'm kind of flowing between each of them and incorporating each of them into one another that has shifted the most.
Wow. Okay. So what are your new favorite words or concepts? Like what has really, I would love to know what's really stuck with you over the last 6 months. What's really hit home and come through and been integrated into your life?
So the first two words would be more and then an analogy that you use. So I'm saying that now because I'll no doubt forget them. But more is where it all started. And I remember listening to one of your online webinars that you held, and it was all about wanting more and giving ourselves permission to want more. And I think that's where I was in this state of contentment and going, I have everything that anybody would ever want, be happy with it. And all of a sudden I had this idea and this seed planted that I can actually ask for more, and I can strive for more, and I can be grateful for what I've got, but desire and allow myself to, desire things and strive for bigger and better and so forth. So that's where it kind of started. The word "and" has been really instrumental in this.
Yes, love "and."
And just that one thing doesn't have to necessarily define you and your actions, and you can feel one thing and feel another simultaneously. And and it has replaced but. Like, I feel such and such, but blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I can feel such and such and also, feel gratitude or strive for more or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So they've been just massive game changers in how I perceive myself and also, kind of my outlook on life. And the analogy was when I think our first session, you described me as an ice block, and the fact that this process would, that I needed to defrost and thaw out before I could warm up. And I remember when you said that, I was really annoyed. I was like, bloody hell, I don't want to defrost. Just heat me up, baby. Let's go. But reflecting on the last 6 months, I think that defrosting stage is what has given me the most, and the warm up has kind of come as a flow-on effect.
Yes.
And that was the easy part. Warming up is easy, but challenging. Yeah.
Yes. Full body goosebumps. Yes. And I know that it can feel, you can just feel so despondent. It's like, oh, but I'm here to like get hot and turn on and just like feel it all. It's like, wait a minute. We have to clear out. We have to defrost. We have to, thaw out energetically so that you can then do the warm-up part. And you're bang on, Shea. The warm-up, turn on, heat up part is not the challenging part. It's the defrosting part. So if you can move through that, you can get to the other side and feel all the good stuff. Keep avoiding the thaw out part and you're going to feel like you're on a loop. I don't know if there's, I don't know if there's any more nuance to that you want to share.
Yeah, I think when it was about 6 weeks ago, I voiced to you my biggest fear was to fall back to old habits, and that this, upon completion of our mentoring sessions, that it would kind of just naturally gravitate to what it was. And yeah, you reassured me that because of the length of process and that thawing out, that these habits are ingrained in me.
Yeah.
And since then, I've really noticed that I'm able to, shift my energy or my thoughts or change the outcome of a scenario that would otherwise just kind of snowball. And it's because of that thawing out that I can do that. So as challenging or as frustrating as it was at times, I think that's the part of the 6 months I'm most grateful for.
Yeah. And it really came through, for anyone listening, private messaging support is a part of the process. And it really came through in some of the messages that you sent me where you'd said you had a challenging situation in front of you. It was interpersonal dynamics with family members, which I think most of us can relate to. And you recognized that without the insights that you gained into some of those loops playing out and doing things in a more contracted state or a more self-protective state or more of that survival mode, that you would have probably had whole weeks of sitting in those feelings and just pushing through and just trying to get on with life. But you had the felt sense experience of moving through things in a day versus 1 to 2 weeks. I think that was how you put it to me. Is there? Yeah. What was that?
Absolutely.
What was that like?
Yeah, when you get to that stage, it's unreal. And I think often just learning to verbalize and put words to my thoughts and my feelings and go, right, okay, well, what do I do with this? Do I let it ruin the rest of my day or my week? And just being able to shift through those feelings a lot quicker, or I guess not even shift through them, but just acknowledge how I was feeling rather than let the mind take over.
Yeah.
And go over and regurgitate things again and again. And yeah, not only has it made a big impact in like myself, but also with my son, because when I was sitting with those things for days and weeks and at times months, it was naturally having an impact in the energy of the house and how quickly I was responding to my son's needs. And it's just meant for a far more pleasant life overall, because we're not sitting in that space longer than we need to. Yes.
And you've touched on a few things there. You've touched on the acknowledgement piece, which is something that I like to share with all of my clients. It's acknowledgement doesn't sound like a lot just on paper, but really pausing, dropping in with how you actually feel and acknowledging it is one of the ways that we remove the masks, the metaphorical masks that keep us in frozen, contracted states. When you started, in that first call, you actually referenced wearing masks in order to basically self-support, because you just weren't sure how else to move through the world and you were relying on other people's influence and on what decisions you made, and it was all that you knew. So would you be able to share a little bit more about what masks you were wearing when you started and what it's been like to allow them to fall down over and over again? Because it's not just a one-off thing, but what has that part of the one-to-one work been like for you?
Yeah, I think when we started working together, you know, I'd been a solo parent for a good 2 years. And I think with that, you know, a lot of people have a lot of admiration for kind of me and my life and go, oh, you're so strong and so resilient. And when you hear things like that enough, you then start to kind of play up to it and act that way and go, this is how I'm perceived. And so this is what I need to be. So I put on the mask of strong and resilient and fine. And I got through my day at work. I'd get through, you know, the bath bedtime routine. But with time, it was emotionally exhausting. And I was in survival mode. I was putting one foot in front of the other. And what that meant was that anything in addition to the essentials of life, like catch-ups with friends and family on weekends, as much as I love that and love spending time with them, it just wiped me out. And I was exhausted, but fine. Like, I'm strong, I'm feeling good, life's great. And that's the mask that we would put on. And I think over the 6 months, what you've taught me is that you can be strong and vulnerable in the one sentence. You can have big both. And that it's okay to then wear different masks, and I can be capable but also need support. And acknowledging those vulnerabilities and that it's okay and it's part of being human has actually given me more energy to put into social catch-ups and you know, fun things with my son and that type of thing. And that has then led to me experiencing my life in a far different way to what I was 6 months ago, which is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah. Wow. Can you think back to how much energy it was taking to wear the metaphorical masks of fine and strong and resilient?
Oh, massive amounts. Yeah, absolutely. And so much so that it really affected my ability. So I used to, and this is something I missed for those few years, I used to be able to, you know, say have a really hard time at a rough day at work or a, you know, crappy fight with a partner or a friend, and then put myself into a position where everyone around me was happy and I'd adapt that energy and it would change my mood. And I really loved that I was able, I wouldn't stew on things and I'd be able to easily adapt and change my mood. And that changed. And I think for a long time I would be in a happy situation, and I was happy to a degree, but a lot of it was a mask of, I'm fine, I'm having a great time, we're socializing with people we love, therefore we should be enjoying ourselves. But we'd come home at the end of that weekend and I'd be wiped out for the week and I'd be exhausted. And then the day-to-day life was really mundane, trying to catch up onto that. So it used massive amounts of energy. And now that I've got far better flow in not even what mask I'm wearing, but just acknowledging how I'm feeling day to day, it savors energy that I don't need to expend on wearing a mask.
Yeah. I'm hearing that roller coaster, 6 months ago, and we've acknowledged this multiple times because, well, I've said it to you multiple times because I just wanted to make sure that you really, really let it sink in that you were in survival mode for a very good reason. All the conditions of your life and what life had thrown at you required survival mode for a while. and really felt like you stepped forward into this process at the perfect time of being, I'm not willing to tolerate survival mode anymore. And that's where the more, being in the more and the and universe can step in. So wearing those metaphorical masks was that roller coaster ride of like big expenditure with a big cost, to how things would play out for the next 3 days, 5 days, and beyond. You mentioned flow before. What does flow feel like to you, and how has that enhanced your experience of your life?
Oh, I think just touching on that survival mode, I think it's important to state, you're right. I was in survival mode for a reason, and thinking back, I have full admiration for that woman. And I would basically, like, work for me was probably what kept me sane and above board. And how, previous Shea got through those months and years, I take my hat off to her. And timing is so, it still blows my mind how things happen at a certain time. And it's just meant to be. And I think when we connected, I was like, okay, acknowledge that I had been in survival mode. I had done what I needed to do. And now it just didn't cut it. And I wanted more. And from that, the concept of flow, just trying to, I used to be very much like quite structured and going, I need A plus B plus C, and then it will all work out. And life just doesn't work like that. And like, I think I remember, when I opened my own physio clinic, and I was like, over the moon, on cloud nine. I'd had the best day, fully booked day one, great clients, doing what I love. And I came home and my son absolutely cracked the shits. And I remember just sitting on the floor going, mate, today's a good day. Like, we've got to be happy. What? And it just goes to show, like, So I learned to appreciate that every element of my life wasn't going to be aligned at the same time always.
Yeah.
And so from an energy perspective, just kind of being able to review or look at an overview of my life and go, okay, where does my energy need to be spent? And rather than trying to give my energy equally to everything, just that concept of, all right, let's just duck over here and spend a bit more energy here for now. Which then give me more energy and more time for that later on. And I think for any parent can appreciate that. Any working woman can appreciate that, just that you can't give everything your all.
Yeah. But you can give your all to the things that are most important right in front of you. You can't give your all to everything, but if you can be selective and discerning, two of our favorite words, because they are what allow us to be really sovereign in our own life and in our own experience of our life, then I feel like that's one of the keys to that personal liberation piece, that personal freedom piece is we can give our all, but we can't give our all to everything.
Yes. Yeah.
And definitely not all at the same time.
Yeah. And when you try, which we've all done at some stage, it takes even more from each of those things.
Yeah. There is so much to be said about the cost, the energetic, physical cost of stress, pressure, judgment, shame, guilt, pushing, and just how it sucks the life out of anything that could be pleasurable or enjoyable or turned on. It just, if you can curb that one, and that was part of the defrosting process, wasn't it? If you can curb that, then you start to get that flow, then you start to be in your more and you start to feel juicy, even when you're doing mundane kind of things. That's what I've learned from dropping all those shoulds and musts and oughts and have tos and what would they think and how would they feel like, how will they validate me when I do things that way? I really feel like there's so much power in that. When all of that can fall away in that defrosting process, then all the other things that we actually want, and to use your word desire, fabulous word, can actually come through.
Yeah, absolutely. And the concept of turn-ons and that, yeah, the day-to-day life that's usually quite mundane, when you learn how to introduce elements of turn-on, it changes the day entirely. And, you know, like it can break up the bath bed routine up greatly with a bit of a dance party or just, and that's been something that's been really interesting is bringing things back into my life that give me joy and turn on, and just small, simple things that can just shake up your thoughts and feelings in a moment, and it just changes the course of the rest of the day or the week.
Yeah, love it. Love it. The power of small things. It's what, when you're a high generating woman that's ambitious or, you know, on paper successful, there can be, in that pursuit of what you want and those big visions and dreams, there can be so much, or so many of the small things can be overlooked in favor of these big things. And what I've come to learn, and what I know to be true, is that when we value the small things, the small moments of abundance, the small moments of turn on, the small moments of surrender, the small moments of sovereignty, the small moments of everything you actually want, magnetism, all of the rest of it, then guess what? You can feel even more and more and more and more and more, and the other things fall into place. So I'm so glad you mentioned that, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a week-long retreat or something really significant and symbolic, like a big grand gesture. It's the small moments in your life where you take the power back and say, actually, even though I feel this way, I know that it's part of it is a decision, and I can decide to do something differently or respond differently. And it's all those little moments that enhance our experience of our life, rather than feeling bitter, angry, resentful, all these things that are turn-offs.
Yeah. And a couple of weeks ago, you mentioned, you know, being the victim or the peacock, and only us having that decision about making that decision about what we're going to be. Yeah. And
love it.
And it can be, I just think with the smallest of things, you're like, okay, well, I can bathe in self-pity and poor me, or I can actually make the most of this situation and shift it and be a beautiful peacock.
Huge. Yeah. And Shea, you've experienced significant grief in your life. So for you to say that, as someone that, let's be honest, like, you could default to victim mode. You could. You've got proof that you could, based on all of the things that have happened to you in your life, but you haven't done that. Like, you have consciously, every moment of this process, not allowed yourself to feel things, but I've never once witnessed any flavor or any taste of victim mode. You've always gone, and that's a mode. Being a victim is very different to victim mode. You have always just, from what I've seen, paused, acknowledged it, let yourself feel it, and let the feeling run its course, and then chosen differently. And it's just been that really beautiful balance that feels like it's really been one of the big contributors to how effective it is to you moving through those feelings.
Yeah. And that comes back to the word "and." I think you can have experienced significant grief and have a wonderful life and a wonderful experience, and get happiness from day-to-day life. Yeah. And so
maybe I should just make a meditation for everyone. It's just and And I'll just say and for 5 minutes. It'll be like the most powerful meditation ever.
It's my new mantra. And
yeah, I love it.
Else?
Three little letters, one word that we use a lot, but the context and the intentionality of how we use the word and is a game changer. There are moments in life for the full stop. It's this, full stop. And there's moments in life for the even though I feel this way, blah, 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 right now, and I still want more, and I'm still open to feeling turned on, and I'm open to feeling supported and connected and all the rest of it. So, yeah, I love that because life isn't just one thing. There are paradoxes. There are things that you can feel things that feel conflicting. It just opens us up to the whole realm of experience rather than limiting how we feel, blocking ourselves from feeling more. So, Shea, the support in the one-to-one process is pretty important, I'd say. Now that you've allowed yourself to be supported in this way, because you're fiercely independent, stepping into this process, fiercely independent. Now that you've been supported in this way, how will your experience of life be different?
Oh, it's been a real game changer. And you probably will remember the first few months you had to keep reminding me, like, Shea, you've got the support messaging, message me anytime. And even when you'd message, my response was very kind of superficial, like, yeah, great week. And then we'd catch up and you'd go, hang on a minute, why didn't you mention this? Yeah. And I think that being fiercely independent made it really hard to take that support when it was offered.
Yeah.
But once I kind of got used to it and utilized it, it felt good.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Good. And I think what I've learned is that it's really hard when I've got very supportive people in my life, but you're also very aware that those people have their own stuff going on. And often we turn to different people when we need different levels of support or support for different reasons. And so what I found was that I wasn't reaching out at all. And therefore, it was just kind of building up. So acknowledging how useful that has been, I think moving forward is not only I've learnt, I guess, how to ask for support or, put it out there, but also learning how to support myself when there are times where you may not be able to talk to anyone about it. And this is where the journaling has come into play massively in just being able to verbalize that. And often when you get it out of you physically in the way of words, it just shifts things massively.
Yes. And one memory that comes to mind is that weekend that you had maybe 2 months ago. I want to say about 2 months ago at the time of recording this, and you felt intense loneliness on a Saturday night, but the way that it played out was so different. It's kind of like it was a bit of a bathroom stall moment for you of feeling this intense loneliness on a Saturday night in lockdown as a solo parent, not having seen people for a while, I think. But you moved through it really differently. What's one thing that helped you move through that differently as opposed to without being supported the previous 3 or 4 months before then?
I think because I reached out to you at that time and I said, I'm just at that moment, I just let myself feel it and go, you can't avoid negative feelings in life and negative times. But kind of voicing that and your reassurance that we'll just think how sweet it's going to be when you are connected again with family and friends. And even though the external situations of lockdown didn't change, within a couple of days, that rebound from that moment was just beautiful. And I think now that, Victoria is at long last coming out of lockdown, had I not have experienced that intense loneliness, the cuddles with my nieces and nephews and family in 2 weeks would not have felt as good as they are going to. Like, so it's kind of learning that every downfall, there's positives to it, and which is really hard to sit with at times.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just, I guess, yeah, literally just verbalizing it to you made a big difference. It was, okay, well, this is how I'm feeling, and getting some support at the time to go, right, well, try this, and move through it again rather than sitting in that space for a week.
Yeah. Yeah. You verbalized, you expressed, and that makes all the difference. And you've referenced several mediums there. I think the journaling's more come into it more recently, but at the time it was in a message. Just saying something is just like taking you out of that pressure cooker of, I'm in this feeling it's shit and I'm the only one, and like I'm in this tense, like deep dark place, and all the things that we can feel and experience and think as humans when we feel intensely alone. So the reach out is a really important part of this work and any work that I try to access, because I know that in the moments, if you say something, it's just that instant. It doesn't have to be really big, might not take the weight of the world off your shoulders, but it just gives you that relief that you've connected and something is out of you rather than stewing inside of you.
Absolutely. And there's been a few times when, I've sent you a voice message going, so this has happened, this is how I'm feeling. And initially I was quite surprised when I wasn't feeling as negative as I thought I should. And I'm like, what am I missing here? And just that reassurance from somebody that's obviously gotten to know me very well to go, no, Shea, like you're not feeling what you think you should be feeling because you've actually processed this and worked through this.
Yeah.
And but just kind of verbalizing it out loud, and often I'll kind of solve my own problem or answer my own question, but just having that sounding board to vent to and help you through it is so invaluable.
Yeah. Now, I'll be honest, working with me is not, it's an investment. It's an investment in yourself. I'm very transparent about that with people and on the podcast. What was it like for you to invest in yourself at the level that you did when you started? Like, it all, be completely honest. What was it like for me to quote the investment, to say yes to yourself? And I'd love to know, do you feel like it was, does it feel like it was a good investment?
100%, yes. And at the time I said to you, this is the first thing I've done for myself to merely benefit myself. And as a flow-on effect, it's benefited those close to me. But that was the first thing I did for myself in years. And initially, like the financial investment, you go, am I worth this? And within, probably 6 weeks, I thought, bloody oath I am. Like, this is going to be life-changing. But when we had the connection call and you ran through the process and the cost and all of that, the thing that had me going, oh, can I really do this, was the time investment.
Yeah, you were different. I remember that. Yeah, you're like,
and I was like, a call once a fortnight. Like, I can't even find time to, like catch up with coffee for a friend. Like, how am I going to do this? And you were like, basically didn't give me an option. You're like, okay, what's going to work for you? Let's do this. And now it's just, I can't believe it. I ever thought that was going to be an issue. So I think not letting your logical brain take over too much in those. And I just went with my gut. There was nothing to tell me that it was going to pay off or be worth my while, but it was just something that said, do this and do this now.
Yes. I love that. It is a soul decision, and I'm always looking for one thing on the connection call, and that is for women to say that they're excited. Like, the first thing I ask is, how do you feel about this call? And it's excited. And you were one of the women that said excited. And I actually know it's like my big green light, everything is going to work out, because that's the soul speaking about the level of preparedness. It's just ripe for this kind of process. So, yeah, I love that you brought up the time objection, because you're one of the few people that's brought up. But when I heard what your life is, I was like, fair enough. And I was like, I will bend and move mountains for you to be able to access this. I was like, I was like, there's no way. I will create a special time. No way am I going to let you get away with the time objection. And now you've integrated it. Interestingly enough, life has changed and you've just been able to integrate it into your day.
Yeah.
Quite seamlessly. So
absolutely.
Yeah, you needed it at a special time, a special select time, and then you've just integrated it. So it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
You've allowed yourself to do that. Shea, last question for you. Has this work flowed into your beautiful business?
110%. Yeah, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I think, as I mentioned before, work for me was a real outlet, and one of the things that got me through some very challenging times. And I think now, like, I've always been quite proud of the energy that I bring into my clinic room and with clients, and it's now not a chore. It's not something that I'm like putting a mask on, trying to act a certain way. It's just coming naturally. And I think just from an energetic point of view, it's really changing with how I interact with clients, and having a beautiful flow-on effect. And like we've discussed, I think how you connect with clients shifts the outcome that you're going to get from your treatment. And so it's just, the timing of this has just been so incredible, because I hadn't opened the clinic as yet, I don't think, when we first started. And
no. It was good. You had a good 6 weeks, 2 months of the process before you opened up. So it all just lined up really beautifully that you did that defrosting process.
Yes.
Around that time your clinic opened up and you were really warming up. Well, you were getting real hot.
But I think just from, like a lot of us health professionals, we don't a lot of the time kind of reek self-confidence, and we're all about caring for other people. And to actually come into this process of setting up my own clinic going, I've worked really hard to be in this position. I deserve this, and this is going to be great, and put my trust out into the universe that it was going to pay off, and the risk was worthwhile. And as any clinician, like, the outcomes of your clients are, really all that you can base your success off. So, I'm really, really happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Maybe this episode should be the secrets of happiness. We're still discussing our title. Okay. Shea, I just adore you. I have loved working with you. Absolutely loved working with you. You are a dreamboat client, someone that I was calling in at the time that I decided to do the More Masterclass, and it just felt so incredible that you came through from that. And how should I put it? I am a little bit sad that we're going to be finishing up, but I also trust that there's something else in store in the next year and beyond, and there'll be other ways that we can connect and work together. So even though things are wrapping up, I know that this isn't goodbye forever, and that makes me very happy. So thank you so much for being such a dreamboat client and for being so responsive and receptive. You deserve everything amazing that comes to you. I could gush about you all day, but I know that you've got things to do. Could you just share with everyone where we can find you online?
Absolutely. Before I do, I just obviously, Lauren, like to thank you. It has been so incredible. And a bit of advice that you gave to me that I'm going to share with anyone listening that's sitting on the fence is when I was trying to make a big decision, you said to me, well, what's what are you going to risk by doing this versus what are you going to risk by not? And the risk of regret is something that I no longer will be willing to take ever. So it's been literally life-changing, and I owe it all to you. So thank you.
Oh, thanks, Shea. Thank you.
And my business thanks you. So my beautiful business is Female First Physiotherapy. So we're at Female First Physio on Instagram, and I'm based in Kilmore in regional Victoria.
Yes, worth traveling for anyone that is in Victoria. And Shea will put all of your most important links in the show notes as well, so that people can follow you and access your most beautifully aligned, energetic physio services for women. So anyone who sees Shea, the work is in her. And I just know that your power and your magic are going to spread, well beyond your clients. So I'm so excited for you. Thank you for your beautiful words of affirmation. You know that that's my love language. And I really want to echo, I would rather live, I personally would rather live with rather find out, like take the risk and find out than live with regret. I just don't think there's anything worse. And I have a feeling that I attract women that feel the same way, whether they know it or not. It's just like regret is such a burden. I would rather, quote unquote, waste money or, have a learning experience, because that's what it usually is, than live with the what if. That is what causes the really burning pain for women and blocks women from their turn-ons. So thank you so much for that, for sharing that with us, and for joining us today. Thanks, Shea.
Thanks, Lauren.
If you want to feel, experience, and embody your ultimate sovereignty just like Julia, and you're at the point of declaring that nothing is going to hold you back, that you're fully committed to making it happen for yourself, then I have good news for you. Places are now open for you to be fully supported in my 6-month one-to-one process. You, me, and 6 months so you can be seen, heard, and understood to become the truly exceptional woman you know that you are, but you just haven't accessed yet. To apply, go to laurenwhite.com.au/sessions, where you'll know exactly what to do next to take this turned on step for yourself.